Hi, Boulder Bookstore. I'm Eric Maikranz, author of The Reincarnationist Papers, which is my debut novel, and it's about a young man who is haunted by memories of two past lives, and where he has complete recall of those lives, skills, languages, loves, losses, everything. And it's about his struggle in the world, living an existence that he believes is completely unique until he accidentally stumbles into another woman named Poppy, who recognizes his condition because she is exactly like him. And then she turns his world upside down by introducing him to a secret society of others who are just like them. There are 28 of them that formed a secret society called a cognomina, where they associate with one another lifetime after lifetime and have been secret drivers of history. So I'm very pleased to be talking to everybody at the Boulder Bookstore, and I'm very happy that the Reincarnationist Papers will be available at Boulder Bookstore starting May 4th when it is launched. And I'm also pleased to go through a quick Q&A with some other questions here. Number one is, what inspired the plot for the story about reincarnation? Or using reincarnation as a plot device. And it comes down to two things. Number one is the saying that we've all heard and we've all probably said to somebody at some point in time, which is, if I only knew then what I know now when I'm an older person, I would have made different decisions. I would have made better decisions. I would have made different choices. I would have made different investments in myself. And then taking that to its most extreme, which is, yeah, if I knew when I was 20 what I know when I'm 50, that would be a really unique and interesting character. But what would happen if I knew when I was 20 the experiences of 2 lives, 3 lives, 12 lives, that collected experience over centuries? That would make for really interesting characters. And so I really embraced the idea of what would it be like if reincarnation were real and characters had complete recall of all of their lives. And that was actually one of the cornerstones for the book. The second is that I actually have 3 small memories that don't belong to me. And I don't know where they came from. I don't know what to do with them, but I do know that they seem to go back to the middle 19th century. And they're very short, but they're as clear as any memory that I have in my life. And so that was the other part that drove that sort of guided me on how to come up with this story, is what would it be like if you remembered everything, every single thing from previous lives? Basically, it would be like being in school, or being able to accrue those experiences over a very long period of time. So that was really the genesis of the book. Second, the Boulder Bookstore asks, you've worked and traveled all over the world. How have your travels influenced your writing? That is true. I've been very lucky in my life. I've actually been able to travel a lot, and some of that travel is actually related to Boulder. Um, I don't know if some of you might remember, there was a really devastating hurricane in 1999 called Hurricane Mitch. And it had a lot of loss of life in Central America. It affected Nicaragua, Honduras mostly. And Boulder has a sister city in Nicaragua called Jalapa, Nicaragua. And the Rotary Club of Boulder donated an ambulance to be driven down to Jalapa, Nicaragua as part of relief efforts. And I was one of 3 people that drove that ambulance from Boulder down to Nicaragua in late 1998. And I got to see several countries along the way. And then after that, I moved to Europe, and I was able to, visit dozens of countries over there. And in fact, that was actually my first 2 books were travel guides about Italy. Now, one of the ways that travel really influenced my book is that if you have characters that live on a longer timeline and they live over and over again in different lives, different bodies, but it's the same consciousness, the same mind throughout all of those bodies, they're going to live in different areas. So in the book, I had to write about different areas. I had to write about 16th century, 17th century France. I had to write about 16th century southwestern United States and conquistadors. I had to write about World War One. I had to write. There are a lot of historical flashbacks in the book, and a lot of different areas where the book takes place in order to really give all of those characters a chance to speak in the book with the different places that they lived and the different times that they lived. So that's how all of my travel that I've been very fortunate to be able to do has influenced my work. It's I love this question. It seems you've already had several lifetimes worth of careers. What made you decide to write fiction? Well, number one, what made me decide to write fiction is that telling stories and telling stories to people is just really cool. I think it's a skill as old as we are as a people and as old as our civilization. And I enjoy writing. I enjoy telling stories, and I eventually decided to do that in novel length form. Now, the other part of the question was, it already seems you've had several lifetimes worth of careers. I think that's actually true for a lot of us, especially, these days, right? Where, it's very rare that somebody, gets a job right out of college and works it for 20 or 25 years and then is able to retire. We end up doing small things here, small things there. I've worked in finance. I've been a radio talk show host. I've been a bouncer at a nightclub. I've been a tour guide. I've written travel books. I've been an IT professional for a long time and a computer programmer. And there's actually a lesson in here in doing all of these different things. And it relates to the idea of reincarnation, because when people think of reincarnation, they think of different lives. And in this book, right, I think about, I postulate, hey, what skills would you like to learn in one life that you could pay forward to another life that you would expect to have, where you would be able to recall and use that experience in this life? And it's very easy to think about that in the terms of reincarnation. But that lesson is true in our own lives as well. If you think about that, we all live sort of several lives in our lifetime, right? We're children, we're students, we're adults, we're workers, we're parents, we're grandparents, we're retirees. I have this quote on my desk here from Frederick Henry Hedge, who was a 19th century transcendentalist in the United States. And the quote goes, "Every man is his own ancestor and every man his own heir. He devises his own future and inherits his own past." And I love that quote because I think that's true for all of us. I was actually one of the ones that was chosen to drive that donated ambulance down to Jalapa, Nicaragua, because I had studied Spanish at CU Boulder. And so in a way that previous experience equipped me to be the one who was able to drive an ambulance across 6 countries and 6 border crossings, and my Spanish came in very handy there. So in a way, we're always sort of planning for who we're going to be in the future. And that's why I think it's actually not that unusual that we can have several lifetimes worth of careers and experience, because we end up being different people. Tell us a little bit about your writing process. So my writing process starts early in the morning. I'm one of those early writers. I get up at usually 5 a.m. and I'll usually lay in bed for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I have to visualize what I'm going to write that day. And I really have to see it in my head and sort of do a couple of dry runs of it. And only then, when I've done that, am I able to actually, sit in front of a blank page and actually write, 1,000 to 1,200 words a day, which is usually my goal. And then I try to do that about 6 days a week and give myself one day off. And brick by brick, the house gets built when you do it like that. What have you been reading during the pandemic to keep you sane? This is a great question, and I love this question. I have a bit of a dark answer for the first one. The first book that I started reading was, believe it or not, The Plague by Albert Camus. Maybe a little too on the nose for what we've been going through for the last year, but I just love Camus' writing. And when I read his stuff, it sort of puts me into the kind of mindset that I need to write some of the things that I need to write. The second is actually research for the second book in this series, the Reincarnationist Papers. And this is called The Road to Eleusis, Unveiling the Secrets of the Mysteries. And this is actually relates to a Greek mystery cult, sort of related to to Delphi and the Oracle of Delphi. And one of the things that's actually interesting to this, one of the authors on this is, you can see right there, Albert Hoffman, the inventor or initial synthesizer of LSD. And one of the reasons why his name is on this book is because they present a case that this mystery cult revolved around a crude predecessor to lysergic acid, to LSD, and that this cult revolved around the use of psychedelics. I just finished this wonderful book, Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. I've been a huge Whitehead fan since The Intuitionist. That book actually really blew me away and really made me a fan of his. And lately, you can see I've got the bookmark in here. I've just started this. Kind of a flash from the past, The Moviegoer by Walker Percy. That's what I'm reading now. And it's just, he has such a distinct voice, such a unique voice, that I love that. And that's really keeping me company until we're on the other side of this. Lastly, is there anything else that you want us to know about your book? Yes, there's one small, tiny little thing, and that's that it has actually been adapted by Paramount Pictures into a major movie that will be out September 24th, and the movie's called Infinite. It stars Mark Wahlberg, Dylan O'Brien, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. And like I said, the movie will be out September 24th. Hopefully, we're all healthy by then and going out to the movies. So please go see Infinite on September 24th. But you can read the book, and you can get it at Boulder Bookstore starting May 4th. Read the book before you see the movie. Lastly, can you read us a short passage from your book? I can't. I'm actually going to read the opening of the novel. And this actually sets up the scene for Evan Michaels. He's the one that has the memories of two past lives and really struggles with that unique condition until he accidentally meets Poppy and gets introduced into the secret society. And this scene really sort of highlights how difficult his existence is, where he cannot share the truth about himself with anyone else. The noose looked ridiculous. Fashioned from braided extension cord, it was likely too stiff to be an effective neck breaker anyway, and I would end up strangling in a flailing, pantomimed panic. The asymmetrical loop at the end hung off to the right like an elongated number 6, and its bright orange color lent a circus air to the entire endeavor. Would it even hold my weight, wrapped around the cheap hotel light fixture like it was? It's easy to write about it now, that I'd often thought about killing myself, that I'd thought specifically about how I might do it. Drowning, overdose, asphyxiation, immolation is always a personal favorite. I even talked about the virtues and pitfalls of different methods with strangers on the bus. Why would you do such a thing? Was always a popular response. But I think that is the wrong way to look at it. I've always thought the better question was, why not do such a thing? What prevents you from doing such a thing? Do you like it here that much? Are you in love? Do people depend on you being here? Did it never occur to you? Are you afraid? I am not afraid. If you knew you would come back, if you knew you would live again, not just believed it, but knew it, why would you not do such a thing? But I didn't put my neck into that noose, not out of fear, but out of courtesy, really, because this place, this type of desperate end would be too horrible to remember. And that's the trouble with having a perfect memory. The benefit is that you remember everything that has ever happened to you. The drawback is that you can never forget anything that has ever happened to you. The former imparts wisdom, but the latter robs you of hope. I decided to write down this story with the certainty that I will look on it again with different eyes in a different time and remember who I had been. Sort of a little dark opening there, but it really sets the tone for the book and sets the tone for Evan's journey and eventually finding a family and finding a peerage of people who are just like him in this secret society. So with that, I really want to thank Boulder Bookstore for inviting me to do this Q&A. Please, when you're out there, please shop at indie bookstores. It's really important that we keep these indie bookstores around. They are filled with bookseller heroes that make recommendations, and these guys are real treasures in our community where they will, where you find someone that really matches your taste and then they're in there reading all the time. They will really turn you on to some really interesting reads that can change your life. That's actually how I discovered Colson Whitehead. Was by taking an indie store recommendation. Thanks, Boulder Bookstore. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Everybody stay safe and healthy out there. Bye.